Shoot it in the head! Hurry!
Oh, cannot beat Aqua Teen Hunger Force. Hello, everyone. Happy Tuesday night. Welcome to the Power Up Podcast. It's a show that takes place on Tuesdays and Thursdays, 8 p.m. Central Time on Rumble, YouTube, and X, with the goal of keeping our shelves. I have some shelves back there. Ourselves sharp and up to date on what's happening in pop culture, ranging from video games, anime, manga, all that stuff, just to see what's happening and just be another guy that gives their 2 cents about it. I'm just a super elite just trying to live. You know what I'm saying? I hope you know what I'm saying. But we've got some news articles here that has happened over the weekend and the beginning of this week, ranging from... Let me actually pull them up here. I mean, I got them ready. We've got Epstein stuff. We've got Grammy stuff. We've got Harry Potter, Sony, Catherine O'Hara, which we will take time to kind of just read up on her, but she has passed away, sadly. A lot of people grew up with her as the mom from Home Alone. And we got some interesting stuff too. So let's hop on into it. Hope you enjoy the show. If you like it, leave a like. If you don't like it, feel free to leave a dislike. Leave a comment if you want. Some people have. And quite hilarious, the comments. But yeah, we do this organically, transparent. What you see is what you get. So let's hop on into it, shall we? Whoop, whoop. That part place. So, Minecraft. Never got into Minecraft personally, but apparently there's a new Minecraft civil rights DLC. And wouldn't you know it, it is drawing backlash. So, February is Black History Month. So, Minecraft has felt that they had to release a civil rights themed downloadable content. The new educational DLC, Lessons in Good Trouble, focuses on several historical leaders, including Congressman John Lewis, who coined the term good trouble, Malala Yousafzai, I butchered that name, Nelson Mandela, Rosa Parks, of course, and others. What's up, Mr. Sardock, over on Rumble? How are you doing, good sir? Here's a picture. Oh, of course, Gandhi's there. Emmeline Pankhurst? Don't. Half of these people I have no idea. I know some, but not all. So Minecraft has framed the marketing around want to change the world IRL. Gosh. Start Minecraft. Adding learn how to stand up, speak out, and build a better world. The marketing suggests the game is meant to be not only educational, but also instructional. Well, that right there, that last part, should not be the case. There have been plenty successful educational games that did not have to focus on DEI. Mr. Sardock, oh no, DEI nonsense. Yep. Sadly, yes. For example, great educational game that I used to play all the time was Where in the USA is Carmen Sandiego, and Carmen Sandiego's Greatest Adventures Through Time. Those games were awesome. Carmen Sandiego games were awesome. Not the newest one. I watched Phoenix play the newest one, and oh boy, does it look... completely changes Carmen Sandiego from being a vile person to, as they always do, you know, any woman that was portrayed as evil in the past, they now make into a anti-hero. So that's kind of what they did with Carmen Sandiego. But yeah, there was a bunch of educational games back in the day that I guarantee you are way better than this. I already know. I can already tell. Just a teaching tool or something more. I'm going to say something more. So this was developed with support from Teaching Tolerance, a project of the Southern Poverty Law Center. Oh my gosh. A walkthrough of the DLC explains that students start at a modern day Black Lives Matter protest. Because when I think of tolerance, I think of a movement that involved a lot of cities being burnt down, mostly peaceful, by the way, according to the media. Instruments of indoctrination, says Mr. Sardak. This is definitely. It's one thing just to present the material as is and make a game out of it. The game ends with students. Oh, wait. So they start at the gay Black Lives Matter protest, pretty much riot, I guarantee, before traveling through time. Time travel. And around the world meeting other civil rights leaders. The game ends with students being challenged to become a catalyst for good trouble in their own communities. A teaching guide on Minecraft's educational website provides a list of learning objectives that can be paired with the DLC. It says that the lessons, quote, uses historical events and leadership principles to help students understand how civic actions, moral courage, and, quote, good trouble have shaped society and how similar principles can guide their own actions today. Oh, did they show all the riots that happened during the Summer of Love? Did they show that? Because that's historical events for sure. Me thinks not. Brainwashing kids, absolutely. Classroom instructors looking to incorporate the DLC into their civil rights lesson plans are encouraged to supplement the Minecraft world with real-life photos and news clippings. It's also suggested that teachers include local movements to draw parallels. One of the performance expectations is that by the end, students will be able to, quote, reflect on how they can be catalysts for civic actions in their own context. I'm already reflecting right now. My reflection is that this is pure indoctrination and brainwashing because they're going to portray this as a certain ideology and then paint all the other ideology as bad. And then try to use historical events to justify, their brainwashed ideology. So this material will raise difficult questions, Minecraft Education posted on its blog, but it's essential to help students navigate social justice in order to be a force for good. Well, right there. This did not exist back in the day, so I don't know how you're going to. They're probably going to take that and somehow incorporate that, in history. Ah, yes, reflect on how they too can be good little communists, revolutionaries, says Mr. Sardak. Indeed. Indeed. However, the decision to blend politics with education and sandbox gameplay is receiving backlash. Who would have thunk? Many users noted that a civil rights DLC would be inappropriately memed by the Minecraft player base. Of course. Others simply objected to politics and propaganda in what has traditionally been viewed as escapist entertainment. So comments on the X post announcing the add-on have been turned off. Of course they have. Of course they have. Got to push that toxic positivity. But you can just read that there. Yeah, pretty much talking about that escapist reasons. Got another one. Oh, look, they did that thing where they're being inclusive and open-minded, but locked the comments. Says not the bee. I think that's what is it, the Babylon Bee? The official game trailer on the Minecraft Education YouTube page, which was posted January of 2025, has been heavily ratioed with 3,300 downvotes compared to only 711 upvotes. Probably has changed now, but that's pretty funny. Commenting is still open, and most of the posts are negative or questioning if the DLC is some sort of joke. However, the big question, how the intended audience for a Minecraft Civil Rights DLC will respond remains to be seen. The strong educational focus may be off-putting to kids who just want to play in the expansive digital sandbox. If Minecraft becomes part of the school's curriculum, many young gamers could look forward for something that's just fun. Yeah, that's my biggest thing that I thought was funny is that they really have this expectation of like, oh yeah, schools can, you know, use this as part of a learning experience. So this will encourage them to install Minecraft in school. Again, completely different because I remember having certain games in school back in the day, your Oregon Trail, and I remember Carmen San Diego, like that stuff there. But dear Lord, the fact that it's Minecraft and this is just like a very small subset, a DLC, if you will. Oh my gosh. God, I'm so glad I've never given them any money, not a bleeping penny. Yeah. Yeah, I haven't played Minecraft. I've seen some people play it that used to be friends, but never understood the appeal. I look at other ways to escape and other games too. And I think I saw on X someone oh no, that was Roblox. There was a Roblox video I saw of like reenacting an ice an ice an ice bust. Oh man. You want to talk about memeing? Yeah, just go on X and you'll see a bunch of stuff. So yeah, this isn't me thinks this isn't going to go the way they were hoping, which was so ridiculously high in thinking that anybody would be supportive of this. The people would think that they would just not question and be like, "Oh yeah, that's a good idea." Nope. Not at all. Terrible. Well, I tell you who exactly wasn't, a role model in culture is Jeffrey Epstein. So, the big bombshell happening, Epstein files released and yet still redacted with a bunch of stuff, but definitely showcasing that the demonic insanity that has taken place and reported in the Epstein files is very real. Very real. And apparently old Jeffrey had his hand in some video games, specifically the Call of Duty series and the microtransaction hell that he brought. So, new DOJ emails link Jeffrey Epstein to early discussions about microtransactions in Call of Duty and their effect on young players. I mean, Minecraft is fun if you can build well. I can't say so I got bored within a few hours, but I did watch a few Let's Plays where people were building beautiful things. Yeah, that's the other thing too. I think you can learn in due time, but I feel like I would just be garbage. Now I'm curious exactly what this is too, because we need to remember that we need to, as much as we can in context, understand, when the Epstein files name something, what exactly is it naming? That is something that we need to be mindful of. Because it's one thing if like, there was a picture taken, there were some people in the background and they were literally just like there at the party and they didn't do anything, you know, that there's going to be that sort of stuff. Yeah, there's an email to Bobby Kotick in there. Yeah. Well, let's see what this article has to say. So the latest batch of the Department of Justice files released the 31st of January revealed something few expected to find buried in the correspondence of convicted sex offenders offender Jeffrey Epstein's. I'm sure there's a lot of offenders in the file. Discussions about conditioning children through video game economies. Now that, honestly, I'm not surprised about that. Because I mean, we literally just read an article about Black History Month DLC. Video games, of course, were going to be used to. There's going to be some, evil people that will literally see video games as a means to brainwash people. And an email about trans hormones, sick shit. Yeah, I don't. I'm not the type of person I feel that I could sit down and read all that. I will use. I will look at other people and use hopefully their videos that are not hopefully not biased or just present it as is. I mean, I don't mind a little biasm, Um, not in a gay way though, but to explain it to, like maybe Legal Mindset has been talking about it or something like that. Okay. Furthermore, Bobby Kotick, who is best known for his 32-year tenure as the CEO of Call of Duty studio Activision Blizzard, is mentioned more than 300 times across the newly unsealed files. One May 2013 email exchange between Epstein, Kotick, and futurist Pablos Hallman directly discusses the idea of using virtual items in games as tools for behavioral conditions. The language used was anything but subtle. So here it is right here. I'm all for indoctrinating kids into an economy. You got to love how his equals example for real world rewards is virtual items in game. Pablos. X Prize is a good idea, but key is real world rewards. Learn to read. And all that. But I'm sure that's just one of many. So the timing also aligns perfectly with Call of Duty's transition away from from traditional DLC and towards the aggressive microtransaction system that now define the franchise. Yep, I'm not surprised. But what does the email actually say about Call of Duty? What does it say? As confirmed in the email chain, Kotick proposed tying educational content to real world incentives or incentives. Well, these people are insensitive. Incentive, suggesting words like cell phone minutes, iPhone credits, virtual items, and games. Holman replied in agreement, pushing even further into the psychological implication. I'm all for indoctrinating kids into an economy, Holman wrote. Gotta love how his example for, quote, real world events is virtual items and games. While those lines weren't from Epstein himself, contrary to what many are claiming in now viral videos, he was part of the conversation. What does stand out, however, is the casual tone around the idea that virtual economies can shape how children think and behave. This wasn't a theoretical discussion either. Call of Duty Black Ops 2 had introduced its first microtransaction weeks earlier in March of 2013, and just 6 months after this email exchange, Call of Duty Ghosts launched with a dramatic expanded monetization system featuring paid character skins, voice packs, and weapon bundles. Now, I played Black Ops 2, and I think I remember seeing the microtransaction, but I never did it. Why the fallout goes beyond Epstein's names. His relationship, that would be Kotick's relationship with Epstein, extended far beyond casual business networking. The 300 plus mentions to Kotick's name in the document span multiple years, including invitations to Epstein's infamous private island and social engagements with, quote, the girls that Epstein frequently referenced. That makes the, quote, indoctrination language feel much less abstract. So this is not. So they're just pulling this up at justice.gov Epstein, and you could probably search for some people's names or something. They really need to start arresting these sickos. They went after a literal squirrel and a raccoon before arresting any of these PDFs files. Oh yeah, I know. I mean, the secret society runs deep. It runs deep. Let's be real here. They and kind of like some of the books I read involving scripture talks about secret societies because that's where that knowledge was shared from the Watchers, the fallen angels who mated with females mentioned in Genesis 6:4. Um. So, oh my goodness, there's either probably an ambulance outside because they just honked, or firefighters. Anyway, but the secret societies run deep. They run deep. Your Freemasons, Illuminati, Rosicrucians, all that stuff. The Royals. The Royals are like one of the very top ones, and that's the people who we see, over in England and stuff. And they're proud of their heritage too, because they've traced their bloodlines back to people at that time who are worshiping fallen angels and all that stuff. But that's a long rabbit hole. Um, that my friend Gary Wayne talks about, that you can find videos and other people talking about that too. But yeah, these people need to get arrested. But you're you're then kind of asking the elites to arrest other elites. Which, is it really going to happen? Probably, maybe. Some of them would, because fewer competition. But it's all just one big disgusting demonic mess. And meanwhile, the idiots in the UK appointed one of these twats to be the ambassadors to the US. Idiots. Yes. So to be clear, Call of Duty didn't invent microtransactions. Mobile games and FIFA Ultimate Team had already laid the groundwork long before the email conversation in question took place, but these emails suggest Activision leadership clearly understood what they were doing, especially when targeting young audiences. Despite what's being thrown around online, the files don't prove Epstein designed Activision's monetization model. What they do show, however, is that powerful people were actively discussing how to shape spending behavior in games. And I'm sure that conversation happens all the time. And they were disturbingly comfortable with the idea. So that came from Fandom Wire. Fandom Wire is a new news area that I kind of discovered onto. So I think they had good stuff. But yeah, there you go. And I think this article did a good job kind of pointing out the fact of like, okay, yeah, he's mentioned in there, but like, did he participate in any of the conversation and stuff like that? That's not to say like Epstein was like, we know who the monster is. Supposedly, a lot of people are now convinced that he is indeed still alive. I saw that on X as well, because someone had drone footage that like showed some people, and one of the guys looked just like Jeffrey. And then I forget what his name is, Luke something. He actually got on a boat and then literally went on the island and snooped around before I don't know if he got caught or something, but he had to skedaddle back to his boat and stuff. Crazy. Oh yeah, I had this because this will tie in to like the Billie Eilish, when she used her speech to talk about politics. This is a big one that's gone around, saying whatever retarded thing she said. Let's see, does this... Yeah, what'd she say? Yeah, everyone, yeah. Let's see, is grateful. Yeah, she's getting backlash because of, I need to say anything, but that no one is illegal on stolen land. So there you go. But yeah, so we kind of had two articles from that Park Place that kind of showcase this. But it all stems back for what Ricky Gervais said in the 2020 when he said, if you do win an award, don't use it as a political platform to make a political speech. Gervais said, you're in no position to lecture the public. I think I said his name wrong. Gervais, excuse me. You're in no position to lecture the public about anything. You know nothing about the real world. He then drove the point home even harder, saying most of you spent less time in school than Greta Thunberg. The crowd reaction at the time was a mix of nervous laughter, applauses, and visible discomfort. Yeah, mainly from Tom Hanks. He was like very uncomfortable. Movement that went viral almost immediately, as he remained a cultural touchstone ever since. And then he concluded, so if you win tonight, just come up, accept your little award, then your agent, thank your agent and your God, and fuck off. Ricky Gervais is awesome. Oh, who knows? Maybe he's alive, maybe not. The swamp is alive, unfortunately. Oh yeah, the swamp. All this stuff is going to stay behind the scenes until they slowly start revealing stuff, because they want to make it to where it becomes part of the norm, and then the big reveal is going to happen. And then, to prepare for some sort of invasion, which is ultimately just to accept the Antichrist, who is going to declare war against God. All this is going to go crazy until the good Lord comes back and starts murking people left and right. He was roasting them in their snouts. Oh, yeah, it was absolutely amazing. Oh, I guess they kind of summarized the Billy thing too. So there was another one. Yeah, this was more talking about the upset K-pop Demon Hunters Golden at Grammys, like her winning, and then used it to rail about politics. So we'll just go ahead. Oh, that's my next article we have, because this will probably summarize it too. So fast forward to 2026 Grammy Awards, and Gervais' warning was back in the spotlight. Multiple artists used their acceptance speeches to condemn government agencies, advocate for immigration released causes, and urge collective political action, often to roaring applause inside the venue and intense backlash online. For critics, the issue wasn't whether artists are allowed personal views, but whether a music award show should function as a recurring political rally. I think I said Grammys earlier. I guess this was the music award show. Goes to show how much like I don't care about any of like this stuff. I just know some bullshit has happened. That frustration is precisely what Gervais articulated years earlier as clips of, I think I said Grammy because I was thinking of his speech at the Grammys. As clips of Grammy speeches circulated, so did his Golden Globes monologue, often accompanied by comments like he warned them, and this is exactly what he meant. So he actually, right here, said they're still not listening at his Golden Globe host. Oh man, that's so beautiful. Gervais acknowledged the renewed attention by reposting an excerpt from his 2020 remarks on social media, adding a brief reaction that sums up the situation. They're still not listening. Oh my goodness. And here, yeah, here's what's her name.
No one is illegal on stolen land.
Oh gosh, yeah, and Sabrina Carpenter. Yeah, Craig, Stuttering Craig from Side Source Podcast, like had a tweet that like exploded saying like this is the most manufactured person I've ever seen, and just that tweet just exploded. But like look at these sheep. Who the fuck is that?
And yeah, it's just
What? Look at the eye contact. Look at the eye contact. Like, I guess that's her brother. So he's just staring off in the yeah, he doesn't want to say anything. And she's looking like that to me is a look of like, okay, I guess we're going to go say it. So they clearly had this planned. And then they're like,
it's really hard to know what to say and what to do right now. And yeah, it's just really hard to know what to say and what to do right now.
Oh, you knew exactly what to say earlier. Now you're speechless because you're like, okay, we said it. It's like they knew what they'd say would get like garnished backlash, but they went and did it anyway because they have no original thought. Just stick to making music.
I feel really hopeful in this room, and I feel like we just need to keep fighting and speaking up.
Okay, that's enough. Retarded. The post quickly went viral, reinforcing the sense that his critique has only grown more relevant as award shows increasingly blur the line between entertainment and activism. Notably, Gervais didn't name any specific Grammy winners. He didn't need to. His earlier words were doing the work for him. What separates Gervais from many Hollywood figures is not just his blunt delivery, but his refusal to pretend his comedy carries moral authority. His argument has always been that fame does not equal expertise, and that lecturing audiences from a stage often backfires. Speaking of someone who has no comedic expertise, there you go. For many viewers, the Grammys once again illustrated that disconnect. Ratings struggles, declined trust in legacy institutions, and growing audience cynicism have all coincided within an industry increasingly convinced of its own righteousness. Gervais' position remains unchanged. Awards shows are meant to celebrate creative work, not instruct millions of viewers how to think. Yes. Whether one agrees with Gervais or not, the fact that his Golden Globes monologue keeps resurfacing after events like the Grammys suggests a deeper divide between Hollywood and large segments of its audience. As long as that gap remains and as long as awards shows continue to double as political megaphones, accept Gervais's words to keep making the rounds. Oh, yeah. Well, that came in hot. So, yeah. Good job, Ricky Gervais. Your words have still hung true all this time, and maybe even before this time as well. All right, back to the freak. That is Jeffrey Epstein. This comes from Niche Gamer. And apparently, the old guy was banned from Xbox Live for, quote, harassment, threat, and abuse of other players. My goodness gracious. Xbox Live was infamous for how popular it was and how often people got harassed by strangers online. Oh, dude, the shit talking was amazing. I'll tell you what was even worse. I did some Xbox 360 stuff, but oh boy, the PlayStation shit talking was amazing as well. Oh man. Oh, if you didn't have thick skin after you dived into the chat lobbies and all that stuff, you either developed thick skin or you stopped playing online. I don't even know who she is, and I have no intention of finding out. Oh, Billie Eilish. She's a singer. The only song I know by her is Therefore I Am. You know, I'm not your friend or anything, damn. You think that you're the man. I think therefore I am. You know, that's honestly the only song I know by her. So one such harasser was apparently Jeffrey Epstein, the notorious human trafficker and PDF file. I have to say that because we're streaming on YouTube. Rumble wouldn't, doesn't give a shit. But, in a way, I don't really care either over on YouTube. I'm not big enough yet. New documents posted by the Department of Justice have uncovered an astonishing level of insight into the Epstein clients, correspondence, and more. His infamous evil spread into his online gaming, so much so Microsoft banned him in 2013. Oh, that was right around the time when he was talking, or at least the what we just read about, the thread. Look at me trying to, pin it that he specifically said something in that. When we saw in that conversation, he didn't really seem to say anything. But evil nonetheless. Over his repeatedly psychotic behavior online. The email notice from Xbox Live support to Epstein noted he was permanently banned for harassment, threats, and/or abuse of other players. That was determined to be severe, repeated, and/or excessive. Sounds like the same Epstein that literally trafficked children and women. That was a nice segue there. Your conduct was brought to the attention of the Xbox Live policy and enforcement team through either complaints filed by other Xbox Live users or in the course of our operation of the service, the notice read. So the team has reviewed the complaints and other evidence regarding this conduct and determined it violates the Xbox Live terms of use and code of conduct. Because your conduct or conduct history is in violation, the Xbox Live policy and enforcement team has enacted this suspension against your account. Here's the full list of bad behavior that he was responsible for. That'd be Epstein. Threat of death and harm, property damage, or any other act of violence or vandalism. Verbal abuse or profanity directed at other players. That one seemed kind of retarded. How profane did he get? Griefing. Extortion and manipulation. Well, and that's him to a T. Libel, defamation, or slander. Display of transmission of personally identifiable information such as name, address, phone number, or IP address. And stalking. You could argue that back in the heyday of Xbox Live, it was inevitable for you to get at least one of these things hurled at you from a complete stranger, not just Epstein. All jokes aside, the fact that Epstein actually got perma-banned means his online game behavior was probably egregiously at best. Back in 2021, Microsoft confusingly dropped the popular Xbox Live name for Xbox Network and more recently shut down the Xbox Live Marketplace, the very store platform Epstein and others would use when playing online over a decade ago. I wonder what his name was. I wonder if this. Yes. Damn it. Here it is. Why did he put this in his like in the files? Gosh, these guys, it's amazing and how boomer like a lot of people in this email are. Like they treat the emails as like text. And it's like, no, no, you don't do that. I just want to see if they actually like said his name. Like if it actually shows his name somewhere. It does not. Dang it. Wonder what again, I wonder what his name was. Is it like Come to My Island or something like that? CUM or something like that? Jeez. What a freak. Hopping over to Tech for Gamers here. I don't think I'll play Resident Evil Day 1. I might, but I definitely want to get this game for sure. And Resident Evil Requiem apparently will feature about 100 different zombie personalities, each with their own unique traits. You saw this in the trailer. They talked about how, like, zombies remember certain part of their old, like, before they became a zombie, and they kind of are in that routine of doing it. Like, we saw, like, some zombie maid like cleaning mirrors like frantically and like insanely and stuff like that. But over 100, dang. So Resident Evil Requiem is under a month away and is already slated to be a hit. It reintroduces us to Leon for the first time since Resident Evil 6. Fans are hyped. It also features new elements never seen in the franchise before. The game director has revealed that Resident Evil Requiem features about 100 different zombie personalities. Each has been meticulously crafted, and they will retain memories from their past lives, giving them a bit of personality. So where most studios skip on things like this, Capcom is making sure Requiem is a fresh yet familiar experience with new gameplay elements, and they've apparently put a lot of effort into ensuring it. So in an interview with Famitsu, I think that's a Japanese site. I should remember that. Here, I'm going to copy that here. That could be another one we could add to like get our stuff, you know? See what's going on overseas. So the quote is, all of the development staff worked passionately on giving each zombie their own unique personality, and even they have their own voices and other special features. Excuse me. I think there are about 100 of them in total. Koshi Nakanishi states, Corn Pop did nothing wrong, my friend, my pop, my corn of pop. How are you? A zombie that was formerly a cannibal would probably find the transition pretty smooth. Very true indeed, Corn Pop. Always on top of the real questions, that man. So he thinks there's over 100. So that kind of tells me, because I'm sure 1 in 3 did this as well. There's probably preloaded zombies in there. It's not like, where it will just randomly generate a different type of zombie every time. It's already preloaded. So I'm assuming it has to be that way. It's not, it's not like if you get to a part, reset it and get to that part again, it's a different zombie. This is what I think about instead of sleeping, since Corn Pop. Well, sleep is overrated as far as I'm concerned. Apparently not so for Phoenix's dog, who I demand to see every time he's online. But he always claims it's sleeping. I think he's a big fat liar. That dog does not exist. That pupper, even though he has shown me pictures, it's one of those pictures you get when you buy a new wallet. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, see? There you go. They wanted to do it on a massive scale, but of course there's a limit to what can be done. So now in-game, there are about 100 different zombie personalities. This means they'll be more unpredictable and scarier than ever before. I mean, I guess that's true. Yeah, if you have 100 ones that, I guess even though the zombie may be preloaded, if they act differently every time, then yeah. He said that the development staff worked passionately to give each zombie its personality, so while they mostly looked mindless in most games, Requiem zombies will have their unique traits set them apart. Yeah, I think this game's going to be dope. Going to be really good. So I haven't pre-ordered it yet. And if I do, I'd get it for my new PlayStation 5. Or, well, I don't know if GOG. If GOG doesn't have it, then yeah, I'm going to get a physical copy. Corn Pop says, we all saw Bailey once. Then he disappeared, like Richie Cunningham's brother. Sad face. I'm telling you, man, I think it was all AI. What you saw that day was all AI. And as someone who was not there, I can tell you that it was. Tell you what's not AI, though, is that magic. Magic. Is magic real? I think so. Not in a good way, though. Harry Potter actor John Lithgow, who I believe is the new Dumbledore, attacked J.K. Rowling over gender views after previously dismissing the controversy. So the HBO series is turning into one big fucking mess, and I sadly am not interested at all to see it, because I read all the Harry Potter books, have them all. It was actually a series that my mom and I had a good time bonding over together, because I would read it, she would read it, and then we would go see the movies together. But yeah, this ain't looking good. So when John Lithgow was asked in April of 2025 whether J.K. Rowling and her view on gender politics gave him pause before accepting the role of Albus Dumbledore, his response was unequivocal. "Oh heavens, no," Lithgow replied at the time, openly questioning why Rowling's views should matter at all. "I thought, why is this a factor at all?" he added. At the time, he dismissed the controversy outright. He noted he had not yet met Rowling and expressed curiosity about eventually speaking with her, but made clear that her views had no bearing on his decision. Well, less than a year later, he's telling a very different story. In a February 2026 interview with Variety conducted at the Rotterdam Film Festival, Lithgow framed the issue in almost entirely opposite terms. "I take this subject extremely seriously," he said before issuing his sharpest public criticism of Rowling to date. "She has created this amazing canon for young people, and it has jumped into the consciousness of the society," he said. "It's about good versus evil, kindness versus cruelty. I find her views ironic and inexplicable." Why did you... all this you said absolutely, you had no issue fucking taking that check. No issue. And now here you are, straight up stabbing her in the fucking back. God, these people are snakes. Those two positions, why is this a factor at all, and I take this subject extremely seriously, are not complementary. They're contradictory. He dismissed the controversy as irrelevant, and now in February of 2026, he framed it as a matter of ethical weight and personal concern, but not a big enough concern to turn away that big Warner Brothers paycheck. Hey, I just said that. I did not read ahead, by the way. I don't read these ahead to let anybody new to the show know. What you get is my first initial reaction. I may skim through a little bit, but I don't truly absorb it until I read it with you guys, and we can react and laugh and have fun. This is not a subtle clarification or gradual evolution of language. Rather, it's a rhetorical reversal. Rhetorical reversal. I said that right. I'm smart. So Lithgow's revised posture does not stem at criticism. It is paired with a deliberate effort to separate Rowling from the Harry Potter TV series itself. "I've never met her. She's not really involved in this production at all, but the people who are remarkable." Remember when they said J.K. Rowling would definitely be involved in the series, and now all of a sudden she's not? Wow. The sequencing matters. After asserting moral seriousness and labeling Rowling's view inexplicable, Lithgow immediately pivots to minimize her role in the project, redirecting attention toward the production team and insulating Insulating. There we go. IR Smart, the series from Controversy. The author is an executive producer on the project and has always maintained a tight hold on creative choices within her Wizarding World universe. Oh, I guess, yeah, she's the executive producer. So Rawlings had previously discussed reading the show's script, which he described as so good, and yet so good that you had to cast a black person as Snape, even though his description in the book is clear as day as being white. And it was going to be quite interesting when those racist situations that happen in the book pop up. So that's going to be good. Notably absent from Lithgow's remarks and any acknowledgement of the context Rowling herself has repeatedly provided regarding her views on gender. She has stated on multiple occasions that her stance is informed by her own lived experience as a survivor of assault and domestic abuse. We've read this on past shows before, so we know what she's getting at. And of course, the backlash that has grown from it, but you know, based in that area she is, but remember, she's still a feminist. So Lithgow's characterization of her as an ironic and inexplicable makes no reference to that context. That would be like her view on gender, but instead reducing a deeply personal and openly stated rationale to a moral contradiction. He's also addressed the backlash he has faced over his decision to take up the role. It upsets me when people are opposed to me having anything to do with this, he said. It was a hard decision, made me uncomfortable and unhappy that people insisted I walk away from the job. A choice not to do that. Well, it goes to show. No, I bet you claim that you did, but then you just think of that sweet check that you took a glance at to see how much money you were getting, and you said, "Oh, that's okay. They'll forgive me. I'll just suck up and be progressive, and they'll forgive me." Which is so funny because they're not going to. That's the thing. See, that's the thing that a lot of these people that are like, I'm still going to do it because I'm greedy and I want money. But I can make up for like the betrayal to people by later saying, oh, I was totally against it and all that stuff, and it doesn't involve me. These people don't understand that it's gotten to the point where that doesn't work anymore. That doesn't help them. Like, you're done. Like, the snake eats the snake sort of thing. Like, these people have not realized that at all and think they can weasel and worm their way out of stuff and think they won't get any backlash from it. So rather than defend Rowling herself, however, Lithgow shifted the focus on the Harry Potter canon. But in Potter canon, you see no traces of transphobic sensitivity. She's written this meditation of kindness and acceptance, and Dumbledore is a beautiful role. So the message is carefully calibrated. The work is virtuous, the character is untouchable, and the author can be politely sidelined. A familiar Hollywood recalibration. So taken together, Lithgow's comments reflect more than a change in tone. They illustrate a strategic recalibration increasingly common in modern Hollywood. So in 2025, he rejected the premise that Rowling's views mattered at all. And then in 2026, the production underway and public pressure intensified. He signals moral concern, criticizing Rowling in measured language, and then distance her from the project without disavowing the franchise. It's not a full denunciation. It's not an act of defiance. It's instead a careful repositioning designed to satisfy cultural expectation while preserving professional commitments. It doesn't matter though. These savages has gotten to the point where this isn't gonna. They don't care. They want to now destroy you because you are associated with Rawlings in any way, shape, and form. This is how extreme they've gotten. Which is why being extreme, honestly, in anything, usually ends up making you look like a huge hypocrite and will just backfire in the end. You gotta pick and choose your battles. And it's illustrative of a broader reality in today's entertainment industry. Even veteran actors with decades of credibility are increasingly compelled to publicly revise their position once a major franchise enters the ideological pressure cooker. Good job there. Let's see how that works out for you. So this is one of the main articles, and we might have saw a little snippet of it in a past article, but we've now gotten more solid evidence on that, and that is Sony apparently has a patent that teases adaptive touch controls with no physical buttons for the PS6. So many rumors have swirled about Sony's next-gen console, but almost no one has focused on what its controller could look like. The publisher might revolutionize controllers as we know them for the PS6. So Sony has published a new patent that talks about a capacitive touch controller with no physical buttons. The controller accepts input via adaptive virtual buttons that are not fixed to any position and instead work based on how the user holds it. The patent's convenient timing has led many gamers to believe that the controller might be planned for PS6 since it is reportedly still years away. So input surfaces of the controller may be configured to detect user touch and user input similar to activation of a button or manipulation of a directional panel without requiring actual push buttons or directional pad. Now, I'm a little skeptical about this because to me, this means this needs to be so freaking sensitive, like that when you do something, it does it. Like, I hate it when I touch a button and it feels like it hasn't responded to what I did and I have to jam that sucker, like really press down to be like, are you fucking realizing that I'm signaling you to do something? That's one thing. This, however, like it needs to be perfect because it's either going to be ridiculous in that it just knows, which will just show how much technology has grown and gotten crazy, or it's going to be so sensitive that it's going to do stuff that you don't want it to do. No tactile feedback is not going to be popular, says Corn Pop. Yes. Why it matters. This controller could be a huge innovation for gamers. However, without physical buttons, it might require a whole lot of practice to feel comfortable in our hands. All right, so I guess here's the patent. So this apparently looks like that's going to be the touchscreen area. That's probably going to be like the solid parts. Maybe the PS button to turn on the console. I'm not sure. Okay, the image shows the body and sensors of the controller. So the patent dubbed Device and Methods for a Game Controller discusses a touch controller, which I thought was always uncomfortable, and then the frickin' original Xbox controller. That thing was so frickin' huge. Oh, that one made me annoyed. And of course, the infamous Nintendo 64 controller. I'm surprised people say that the GameCube controller was like, they're like, oh, that was the best controller ever. I'm like, are you retarded? I don't think so. Corn Pop says, oh, there will be gestures. All right. Well, if anyone saw Phoenix playing Hitman, I mean, this is going to be right up Phoenix's alley. More like up his ass. So the buttonless controller will let players use all types of inputs without any fixed button restrictions. The input surface may eliminate the need for physical buttons and allow for a single surface to detect one or more touch, swipe, or tap, swipe, slide, pinch, press, pinch, etc. So there you go. So technically you could have the controller up here, or the diagonal pad could be up here, could be down there. The buttons could be up here, could be down there. Sony has also published a motley of unique patents related to controllers, such as the one that detects players' sweat to monitor stress during gameplay, and another one that is a 3D grid-shaped controller that deforms to enhance immersion. What the frick? I didn't see that one. Holy moly. That was back in July of 2026. Huh. So Sony has also published, I already read that. And then, oh, that was pretty much the end of it. I'll tell you one that I saw, and I wish it was true, and I hope that they do it, is they had a patent for a laser disc reader that, depending on the focal and the focus of it, automatically detecting like what disc you would put in, like a Blu-ray, DVD, and a CD, it would adjust the disc reader to then read said CD, which could then make, as you guessed it, full backwards compatibility that isn't not emulation based. That would be insane. But I don't think they're ever going to do that because they want people to buy the Game Pass. Corn Pop says, I see what they're going for, but it seems like this removes some of the connections between player and control. It sounds frustrating already. I'm honestly not convinced by it at all. Like, I'm sure there's some people out there, but at this point, I have never heard anyone complain about the controllers of any of the new generations. It just all now depends on which one you like the most. Me, I like PlayStation's controllers. 360 was fine. Xbox One controller, the Elite controller, yeah, that's fine. But I don't know. To me, going this route, it's like, nah, I'm not convinced. And Video Game Chronicle also had an article about this too. And they even went to say it allows to choose where to put the buttons. So for all we know, you could like literally put the buttons up here if you wanted to or something like that. Oh, here you go. It's actually a US patent for a special controller with a touchscreen. Okay. Patent was filed back in February of 2023, but was issued last week, and it's described as designs and method for a game controller. Okay. Well then, okay. This is what I'm confused at. Like, so these patents are now being discovered, but it was filed back in 2023. Can't you like access? Like, if you kind of can figure out what you're looking for, can't you access like a database of patents that are out there? So according to the patent's description and accompanying image, the controller will have a large touchscreen covering most of its top surface where the buttons would usually go. The idea is that players would be able to customize where the D-pad, sticks, or action buttons should be positioned on the controller to best suit their personal tastes, et cetera, et cetera. It appears that the players can also choose to resize the button or even remove some buttons altogether for certain games. So in theory, this could mean if the player was playing a simple platform game, they could replace all the buttons with a single large jump button. Or if they were playing a game that only required a D-pad or a left stick, they could choose to remove one and make the other larger. Often conventional controllers adhere to a similar controller interface of having a directional pad on one side of the controller and buttons on the other side of the controller. The patent description reads, one of the drawbacks of existing designs may be the fixed configuration. By way of example, a fixed layout may be too small, too large for a user. Similarly, a fixed layout may not be comfortable to a user. Manufacturers typically do not veer from layout or control size to reduce cost. As a result, controllers may include button configurations for hand size that do not accommodate the player or all players. And we saw the Elite controller do this too. And what a lot of people are doing now, where they make thumbsticks to put on, or the Elite controller where you can remove them. They're magnetic and you put them on. Also, after 5 generations of the PS controller layout, it seems a little late to be worried about moving buttons around, says Corn Pop. I know. Like, why is I am curious who sparked this idea of, you know what we need to do? We need to move buttons around. It's gotten way out of hand. We've let this fester for too long. Those dang basic controller layouts that now everyone's using. I can see of it being like, you know what, if we do this, we'll stand out amongst everybody, but just because you can doesn't mean you should. Another drawback of conventional controllers may be the fixed nature of input controls. For example, a controller only has enough space to include a directional pad and a joystick. Each element is usually located in a different direction. Due to the size of physical control elements, game controls may be limited. In addition, inclusion of controls can increase controller size. There exists a need and a desire to allow for improvements and modification to game controllers. One potential issue with the patent design is that of the Turbo Touch 360, a third-party controller released for 8-bit and 16 consoles in the 1990s. This replaced the D-pad with a touchpad to reduce stress on the player's thumbs, but resulted in players accidentally moving their character when naturally resting their thumb on the touch panel. Yep. See? Sony's patent mentions that touchscreens would have a pressure sensor and a heat sensor to, quote, detect conditions of the input surface. So that's how they're going to try to do it. It's not clear whether this means simple on and off sensors or sensors with a varying degree of sensitivity, but if it's the latter, it may potentially be able to determine the difference between a thumb resting on the controller and a thumb pressing down on it. As ever, the decision to apply for or acquire a patent for an idea is not necessarily confirmation that the idea will actually become a product in the future. I'm wondering if it would also allow you to adjust like the press down, as well. I would assume it could. Because you know how, like with the Elite, you can flip the triggers to where you don't have to fully press down on it. In certain FPS shooters, you can flip it up into where you don't have to press down. Like, funny enough, Sony has it to where those are actually built in and they turn on automatically. I noticed that with Bayonetta, whenever you switch to the shotgun, when you use your battle drone for the gun. If you use you threw on the shotgun shells, I noticed it didn't take time to press down. It felt a little bit harder to press down, which was weird. I didn't like it, but I think that was a setting you could have turned off. So I know we read about how GTA 6 could be so big that it would just be digital. Well, it will have physical copies. So Take-Two has dispelled that rumors. So it just confirmed its plans to stick with the current November 19th, 2026 release date with GTA 6. Oh, wow, really? So it's not delaying it anymore? Further, the game marketing is also expected to kick off in the summer. Recently, a report went viral about GTA 6 suggesting that Rockstar will skip a physical launch to avoid leaked spoilers. That won't be the case, however, as Take-Two's boss has debunked such a rumor, saying that both physical and digital versions of the game will be available at launch. Physical copies are the only means by which gamers can retain true ownership of video games, as evidenced by recent moves by publishers revoking digital game license. Variety spoke to Take-Two's CEO Strasus Zelnick about the company's upcoming plans, and of course that includes GTA 6, addressing ongoing concerns about the absence of GTA 6 physical copies at launch. And he simply stated, that's not the plan. Is that supposed to be like Kanye West or something? I don't think so, but clearly skipping a physical release would have done them more harm than good, as it risks missing out, on potential sales, and we get that. It's got a big budget of more than $1 billion for this game. And, it's expected to be, it's going to be the best-selling game of all time, probably, once this finally drops. But that was the main thing. It's pretty much that. So I kind of wanted to give Catherine O'Hara, some time in that, sadly she has indeed passed away at 71. This happened on January 30th. The actress manager confirmed earlier reports to People on Friday, that would be past last Friday, though no additional details were immediately available. Remembered by a generation of Kevin McAllister's mom. Yep, in the Home Alone movies, that's who I know her. Well as was also in modern day classics such as Beetlejuice, Christopher Guest mockumentaries like Best in Snow, and this series Schitt's Creek. Catherine O'Hara's early career. So she was the sixth of 7 children, born in Canada in 1954. While not from a showbiz family, her father worked for the Canadian Pacific Railway, and her mother was a real estate agent. The future comedian discovered theater at a young age. After high school, O'Hara worked as a waitress at Toronto's famous Second City Theatre. There's a picture of her right there. After her initial rejection, she joined the company in 1974. When the theater started a TV show, Second City Television, O'Hara became known for her celebrity impressions and original characters. While working as a writer on the show, she received 5 Emmy nominations, winning her first role. Her breakout film role was in Martin Scorsese's 1985 black comedy After Hours, where she played Gail, an ice cream truck driver who becomes a foil to the film's protagonist. 3 years later, she was cast in Tim Burton's iconic Beetlejuice as Delia Dietz. She reprised the role in the 2024 Beetlejuice. Dang. And then in 1990, O'Hara played Kate McAllister, the mom in the holiday classic Home Alone, where she shared several memorable scenes with her Second City TV alum John Candy. She was also in the sequel, Home Alone 2. And in 94, she took a dramatic role in Lawrence Kasdan's Wyatt Earp as Allie Earp, the famous lawman sister-in-law. And then in 96, she returned to her improv roots, where she appeared in guest Waiting for Guffman. It was the first of 4 projects she did with the director. Her performance in the 2006 film For Your Consideration, where she played an actress swept up in Oscar buzz, generated real-life award consideration and netted her several prestigious awards. And then through the mid-2000s, she made numerous TV guest appearances, like in Curb Your Enthusiasm, 30 Rock, Modern Family. And throughout her career, going all the way back to her time at Second City Theater, O'Hara frequently collaborated with Eugene Levy. She joined the cast Schitt's Creek, a series created by Levy's son Dan. Canadian sitcom developed a strong following when it was licensed by Netflix. For the show's 6th and final season, O'Hara's performance as Moira Rose resulted in one of the most historic sweeps in television history. She won every major award for which she was eligible, including an Emmy, a Golden Globe, a SAG Award, and a Critics' Choice Television Award. At the time of her passing, O'Hara had 2 unreleased projects. She will appear on the upcoming episode of Seth Rogen's The Studio on Apple TV, an animated film, The Shadow King, for which she provides the voice of a character named Fern, and is currently in post-production. She is survived by her husband, Bo Welch, and her children. And for many of her fans, O'Hara leaves behind a lasting legacy of work and laughter. Well, God rest Catherine O'Hara. Rest in peace. I know I will always remember you as Kevin's McAllister's mom, and even Macaulay Culkin said something on Instagram, and it was very touching. But yeah, so sad. So sad. A lot of these people. She was in Dick Tracy. I actually need to see that movie still. A lot of these people, yeah. How time moves on. Well, let's not end on a sour note. I already snagged these, but it should be up for time. The original Alone in the Dark trilogy is currently free on GOG. So the online retailer is currently giving away the game to players who agree to receive marketing communications via email from GOG and CD Projekt. So anyone who wants to claim the games can follow this link to the giveaway and look for the giveaway promotion on the front page of the site. That's what I did. I just went on there and I found it. It will last until Thursday, February 15th at 6 a.m. PT, 9 a.m. ET, 2 p.m. GMT, at which point it will no longer be possible to claim these games. Corn Pop said, I got them too. Good job. Alone in the Dark is credited as the first major 3D survival horror game, with all 3 games predating the original Resident Evil. The trilogy compilation also includes Jack in the Dark, a bonus spin-off adventure that was originally released in late 1993 to promote the second game. Very generous giveaway, says Corn Pop. Indeed. I am becoming more and more of a GOG supporter. That's why I'm wondering if Resident Evil will be on GOG. Because if you can, then if I wanted to use mods, we could get that. And then, then we can also own the game. So all three of the Alone in the Dark games are part of the Preservation Program, GOG Preservation Program, a venture designed to ensure that classic games remain playable on modern PCs forever, even after their developers have stopped supporting them. As such, even though the three games on offer were released in 92, 93, and 95, they have been modified to ensure they will still run on Windows 10 and Windows 11 PCs. They also support cloud saves, and like every other game on GOD, is DRM free, meaning it can be played offline without any security checks, and that is how you should do it. Number of games in the GOG Preservation Program is 271, following the retailer's edition of Final Fantasy VIII Remaster, Final Fantasy IX, Final Fantasy III 3D Remake, and Final Fantasy IV 3D Remake last week. Resident Evil 0, 1, 2, and 3 are on GOG. Yes, indeed. Yep. Other recent additions have included Rayman 2, Screamer, Cold Fear, and 4 Total War collections. The retailer plans to eventually add its entire catalog of thousands of PC games, though stresses this will take time as each one requires a different process. Corn Pop has shared the link of the Resident Evil games bundle. Right there. Are they free? Or are they just available? I think I saw those, though. Oh, yeah, it's currently 65% off, though. $20. $20.99. It'll offer ends in 4 hours, so snag them up if you haven't have them already. And then one last thing that looked interesting to me. This comes from Niche Gamer, and that is there's a Zelda-inspired HD 2D mystery game called Grey Tale. Apparently, it has a new demo. It's available for PC via Steam. Just Steam. And will give players a new look at the game with a new perspective camera, giving the game a more 3D look, though it's meant to capture 2D games for the Nintendo DS era. Demo, and then there's like a rundown of the demo with the new trailer. Here's some kind of updates on what the demo shows. To me, it looked pretty cool. It made me think of like a film noir game. See, I like this sort of pixel look. The artistic style up above isn't my favorite, but I do like this sort of look. Yeah, you can definitely kind of see the Zelda sort of thing. Looks pretty cool. Very nice. So that's looks like something interesting. Sort of a tiny model tilt shift look to it. Neat. Yeah. See right here, like this isn't like to me, I don't like you have that retro look, so I don't know why the artwork isn't in like that sprite look. It's not like terrible or anything. It's just compared to the game, I would have been I personally would try to match it more to how the game is, but whatever. But that is all I have for you guys tonight. So I hope you enjoyed the show. If you enjoyed it, leave a like, subscribe. If you didn't like it, feel free to leave a dislike if you want, and leave a comment below. And some people did on my last one. They were very mad that I made fun of Nintendo with the DEI stuff, even as some calling me a snowflake, which I thought is funny. And I was like, yep, sure. You got me. You got me. But with that being said, let's go ahead and do some ratings. See if anybody's online. We can raid. Well, Vara is always online around my time, so we always raid her. Corn Pop says, thanks for the stream. Thank you. my brother, for hanging out. And as for Rumble, oh, we got some guys on here. Roll the Gaming is streaming. What's he doing? Super Mario Galaxy or Super Mario Galaxy 2? Here, we'll raid him, show him some love. Oh, Quizidom Wild's online. I don't think I didn't see him online. Did I add him? What's he doing? Yeah, we'll raid him. Show him some love. Alrighty. With that being said, I will catch you guys on the flip side. Take care. God bless. Peace. Adios. Tomorrow we'll be continuing gaming. See you later.